In 2011, we watched Matthew McConaughey practice law from his car as he drove around LA in an adaptation of one of Michael Connelly's novels. Now, Netflix has adapted another novel from that author, but instead of a movie, we've got a 10-episode series. The Lincoln Lawyer is debuting soon, but is it really worth a binge? Mickey Haller runs his law practice out of the backseat of his Lincoln as he takes on cases big and small across the expansive city of Los Angeles. After a personal setback, he just got the case of his career. So this is based on the series of best-selling novels by Michael Connelly, and first season is based on the second book in the Lincoln Lawyer series. It's called The Brass Verdict. Now, I've not read it, so I can't speak to how well this adaptation sticks to the source material, but really, to be fair, I'm not reviewing the book, just the series. Manuel Garcia-Rulfo stars along with Neve, Campbell, and Christopher Gorham. Now, as I said, this is a 10-episode first season, with each of those episodes being about 40 to 50-ish minutes. Now, we follow Mickey Haller as he's taking on just a ton of new cases, but two are really important to him. Both are murder cases, and one of those is super high profile. The story does a good job of explaining why Haller is called the Lincoln Lawyer, and while the explanation isn't drawn out, it takes enough time to give us good context into the character and his mindsets. This plays out a bit like a made-for-TV miniseries, but because Garcia-Rulfo is so charismatic, I was sucked into the drama and then the mystery. Haller is surrounded by several different mysteries as he works his high-profile case. While pieces unfold, more intrigue is created. I do think that some of the aspects are predictable, but for me, not every part was, keeping me at a good level of engagement. There are several peripheral storylines that are concurrently going on, and each has a different level of interest. Neve Campbell plays Heller's ex-wife, and she's an assistant district attorney who's working on her own high-profile case. And the show spends a surprising amount of time on this case, but Campbell is great in her role, and then she creates a character that has a really entertaining dynamic with Haller, so I didn't mind the offshoot at all. Haller also has a few people that work for him, and I really enjoy how we are still getting to know more and more aspects of them. Now, Cisco is his private investigator, and the guy's seemingly got a checkered and mysterious past. We do get glimpses into his former life, but I really want to know more. There's also Lorna, Haller's assistant, who basically runs the law firm and keeps things afloat. Now, she's got history with Haller, but it never seems to get in the way of them functioning as a team. And then finally there's Izzy, a new hire, and I really appreciate the relationship between she and Haller. There's a mentorship between the two, but it also flows in both directions. There's compassion, wisdom, and empathy that is shared, and it's inspiring and uplifting, especially when both give off the appearance of being very tough on the outside. Now, if you've watched my channel for any period of time, you know that I'm big on character growth. Now, static characters, they just bug me. So even if a character is on a downward trajectory, that negative growth can still be intriguing. In this, I appreciate the positive growth that we get to see from a few characters, and one of those being Haller. The story is very clear on his past, so we can use that as a measuring stick with his present to see if he's improving or not. And there are integrity moments that come into play, and it's refreshing to watch a character who sticks to their beliefs and resolve. There are also some really effective relationship moments that point to the type of character Haller is. How does he treat his employees? How does he treat his clients? And what about his family? Each of these gets to provide more and more insight into Haller, giving us confidence on whether or not we should root for him. Now, Christopher Gorham's character has some quirks to him that the show makes a huge effort to highlight in the first part of the show. But then as the series goes along, it seems like some of those quirks were just forgotten. Making me then wonder why they were even included at all. And this is especially true with a container of pins. In the beginning, Gorham's character interacts with the pins in a very noticeable way, which then becomes bothersome later on when they weren't kept that way. I know it's a small thing, but it speaks almost to the continuity of the character. Now, the series looks great from a filming standpoint, but there is an editing choice in the show that I'm just not sure I totally enjoyed. There are some segments that showcase Haller speaking to Izzy as they're driving along. And most of the time, it's some sort of legal or process explanation that Haller's providing. These are clearly there for our benefit to either let us into Haller's mindset or to get some information that isn't going to be shown to us through action. And they come across almost like a narrator voiceover, which I don't mind, but the coloring itself, that was what was weird to me. The scene becomes very harsh with a yellowish orange hue that's oversaturated. Now, it's the only time in the series where something looks like that or even goes out of the norm, so while it is an odd choice, at least it's not overused, so then it's kind of okay. The main story we follow concludes at about episode 8, so I was really curious at what was going to happen after that. I mean, it's not enough time to begin and end another big case, and I was really hoping that it wouldn't begin a new one and then leave us hanging in the middle. Now, luckily, because there have been some ongoing side stories and there's also some unresolved mystery that Holler can't let go of, the show doesn't run out of steam and then doesn't falter towards the end. So overall, The Lincoln Lawyer is an engaging mystery and courtroom drama series that's carried on the very capable shoulders of Manuel Garcia-Rulfo. He creates a charismatic and complex character with a good set of morals and integrity. Plus, when combined with the growth that the character experiences, it makes for a very compelling watch. While the mystery may be a bit predictable in spots, the pacing is fairly consistent, allowing the story elements to unfold naturally and patiently without becoming boring or drawn out unnecessarily. The series looks great from a visual standpoint, and even though I wasn't a fan of the brief, oversaturated storytelling segments, they didn't end up detracting from the story. Mickey Holler becomes a character worth rooting for, and I hope that we get to see a lot more of him in the future. There's no sex or nudity, a ton of profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give season 1 of The Lincoln Lawyer 4 out of 5 couches. So have you read any of the Lincoln Lawyer novels? If so, which one do you hope is adapted next? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.